so you can check it there.
Yeah, see,
All
thank you.
right. All right. Thank you so much. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to another session in the code 4 of Textilers. So last week we talked about how to create tables in Dataverse. We looked at forms, we looked at views, and it was an amazing and interesting class. So today we'll be looking at introduction to model-driven application. So for us to do that, we'll still be going back to create a table. We'll create a table and to be an awesome class. So first, I have dropped the CSV file that we'll be needing. I've dropped it in the chat box. I've also dropped the table that will be creating in the chat box. So I'm going to go ahead now, share my screen, and we will start the class. Okay, so please let me know when you can see my screen. All right, so let me know when you can see my screen, and okay. So let me know when you can see my screen. Dr. Victoria, please unmute your mic because I can't see from the chat box. So unmute your mic.
I can see.
When you can see my.
I can see your
Awesome.
screen.
I can see your screen.
Awesome. All right, thank you guys. So like I said, we're looking at introduction to model-driven application, and my name is Omolola Alfred. I'm a business application developer and also Microsoft Most Valuable Professional in the business applications ecosystem. All right. So our agenda for today is one, we'll be looking at what a model-driven application is in Power Platform. We'll be looking at the steps that you need to design a model-driven application. We are going to create a table, and here you will see recap because last week we did create a table and we looked at what a table is. We looked at other concepts in the Dataverse ecosystem. All right. So we will be looking at business rules. So we're going to create a business rule for the table that we will create today. We will also import data from an Excel file, and that is what I've shared in the chat box. Then the last thing that we'll do when we've done everything that I've mentioned is that we will be creating a model-driven application, which will not take us time at all. So when we are creating this model-driven application, I want you to be able to think back and say, oh, okay, so what are the differences I'm seeing between a model-driven application and the Canvas app that Rachel had taught us in the class 2, that was 2 weeks ago. All right. Then when we are done with all of this, we'll just quickly take a summary, look at everything that we have done. And this picture that I saved is a picture because I'm currently not sharing my picture. All right. Okay. So the next thing that we are doing is what is the model-driven application? So basically, the model-driven application from the name model-driven. So you have a particular model that is basically driving the application, and the model is actually your data. So it uses a component-focused approach to develop an app, right? And for you to do this, you're actually not writing a single line of code, except for some particular processes. So formally, you couldn't even write code in model-driven. It's basically just low code, except say you want to customize and you're customizing using a plugin, right? So you use C# and all of that, but that is the pro developer version. But now Microsoft has introduced that now we are allowed to use Power FX even in our model-driven application, just the same way you use Power FX in Canvas. But this basically depends on you and on the process that you are trying to create a solution for, right? But when you're doing basic stuff, when you're doing anything like basic stuff, right? You are not writing a single line of code. So that's like one of the major difference between the model-driven application and the Canvas app. You're starting from data, all right? And that is why I said we are going to build our tables first, just like we did last week, meaning that we are actually starting from our table, start from our data So we'll build our tables, we'll do everything we need to do on our data before we now build a model-driven application. So the model-driven application that we are building is going to be riding on the data that we'll be creating in our table, all right? And so the only data source that we use for model-driven application is the database. So all your data and everything will be done, will be modeled in your database, all right? All right, so we have three major steps when you want to design a model-driven application. The first is you model your data. So we know that Power Platform, you're building for an organization, all right? So we assume that the organization you're building for definitely is a business. So you will model the business data in your database. Then the second thing you do is you define your business process. And we are going to look at it today. So you define your business process. How do you want this? How do you want people to be able to import data? So for instance, I say that when people are importing data and they put data into a particular column, I want to make the next column compulsory. But if they don't put data in this column, then this next column will not be compulsory. That what I just explained can be done using the business rule, right? And we'll be looking at that shortly. So when you are done modeling your data and you are done defining your business processes, the next thing that you now do after these two things is you compose your application. So you would have modeled your data first and you would have defined business processes on your data, then now compose the app. And that is why the name is model-driven application. All right. So now you have this already. I've screenshot this and I've dropped in our chat box. So we have this is the table that we'll be creating in database. Somebody had requested that they want to be able to create alongside us when we are creating, and that's why I've screenshot this drop there. So we will start creating the tables now. All right. So let's build a model-driven application for us to start. So this particular link is the link to the model-driven application on Microsoft Learn. So you can actually follow this link and build your app. That is after this class. All right. So let us build something together. So I'm just going to go into this. All right. So what I want you to do now is let's start from scratch. Okay. So I'm going to just select the environment that I want to build from. So the environment that I'm building from, the tenant that I'm building from is my own my developer account. All right. So go into your developer account and type in office.com. So when you are in the office.com, select this hamburger menu and go to Power Apps. All right. So once your Power Apps has opened, you're going to see on your side menu bar, you see Home, Create, Learn, Apps, Tables, Flows, and all of this, right? So I want you to select Tables. So once you select the table, right now it's loading. So once it has finished loading, you will see New Table, Import, Export. So you want to select a new table. So it says New Table or New Table from external data. I'm just going to select New Table. So I want you to look at what I've screenshot and what I've dropped in the chat box. That is going to help us to create the table that we want to create. So what is the table that we are creating today? The name of our table is the prospect table. All right. So so now it says new table. So what is the name? The name is prospects. The prospects, then the primary column. Just come here and say prospect. So come here and say prospect name. All right. So what did we do? Under new table, prospects, go to the next tab, which is primary column, and type in prospect name. Okay, prospect name. Then save your table. So the table is prospects. The primary column is prospect name. we are saving this. Okay. So it's currently loading. Let's just wait for a while for it to finish loading. And
Sorry, sorry. I went to
yeah, go
office.com.
ahead.
I went to office.com and I went to the launch app and there's no power app on my launch app icon.
Okay, okay. Yes, I got you. So the reason is because, okay, do this for me. Come here, drop down. What is, can I see, can you check the accounts that you're used to log in? Is it on Microsoft.com? Does it have on Microsoft.com?
I didn't get that.
Okay, look at what I'm doing. So this is where I'm building, right? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, can.
Good. So now go to where your picture is, right here. Do the drop down
Yeah.
and check if this, so this is the account that I'm building. I'm building this inside this tenant. So does it have on Microsoft.com?
Okay, let me check.
Quickly. So does it have on Microsoft.com? If it does not have on Microsoft.com, it means you are not building inside your developer account. All right, you're not building inside your developer account. Your developer tenant is a free tenant for you to develop, right? So it has some access, it has some licenses for Power Apps, for all of the things we'll be doing today. So that's why you have to build inside your developer account. So I'm just going to go ahead with the class. And
Okay, I don't have that. I don't have that.
All right, so drop in the chat box. Victoria is going to answer you. Thank you so much. Okay, so now that you have created your table, so once you finish loading, this is where it's going to bring you to. So you can see that under tables, you have your prospects. So your prospect is your table that you just created. And the first column that you have here is your prospect name, which is the primary column that you created. And you see this star here means that it is compulsory, it is required, it is a business required field. Anybody that would put in data must put in data inside of this field. That's what it means. So let us quickly add more columns inside this table. So you click on new, and the next column that you will be adding inside this is our stage. So the name of the next column that we'll be adding is stage. So display name, just type in stage. And for the data type, we are going to be using a choice data type. So we looked at choice data type in our last class, choice data type, and the behavior for this is fine to be simple. Simple is good, just leave it like that, simple. So is it required? This is where you set if you want it to be required. So if it's optional, it means that they can decide to choose the stage or not. But for this, we want to make it required. So select business required, meaning that they must select a stage. Okay. So now we want to, I explained this during the last class, but I'm just going to explain again for the benefit of those that were not in the last class. So we want to sync you, so you can try to sync this with choice, meaning that you have created that choice before, but we don't have this choice created, so we are going to select new choice. We're going to make the value 1, and we would put in the choices that we want to put in. Okay. So one of the name of the choice I will be putting is lead. So put in lead, then go to new and select opportunity. Sorry, type in opportunity. I already sent this in the chat box. You can just type and be looking at that and be creating yours just as I'm doing. All right. So we have opportunity. The next is 1. The value is 3. The new choice. The next is lost. So we have lead, opportunity, won, and loss. So these are the separate, so these are the different stages that your customer or your users, basically the user of your application, can select. So this is a choice field, and you need to give this particular choice that you're creating, you need to give it a name. You need to give it a name. So we're going to give it the prospect stage. Prospect stage. That's the name of this particular choice, and you save. So now, once you save, let's just wait for it to load, and I'll show you what's going to happen. So basically, as I am saving this, it is going to sync, right? So if you look at this, it says sync with global choice, and you clicked yes. So as I created that choice that I created, the name is prospect stage. It has synced with all the available choices in my database. So what I need to do now that I'm done creating this, I just need to go to sync this with choice, sync this choice with, then we will now look for that we'll look for that particular table, which is prospect stage. So select it. We have your prospect stage. If you go to edit, so you can edit your choice. If I edit this choice now, whatever I add or I remove, it would basically change this prospect stage. And anybody that goes to that or that enters into this your tenant that want to pick the prospect stage, they will see this prospect stage. So you can edit this, right? It's going to sync with the global choice that you have. So you don't need to edit it. I just showed us what you can do with that. All right. So we have prospect stage, and with all our stages inside of it, then you save. So now what have you done? You have created a choice, a global choice called prospect stage, and you have synced it with this particular column that you are creating, which is a choice column, and it is called stage. All right. So the next column that you are creating is your contract amount. So click on the plus icon and type in contract amount. Contract amount. So ensure you're following me. So contract amount, the data type. So I explained last class that data type defines the kind of data that you drop inside this column. So the data type for contract amount is currency. All right, and the behavior is simple. We are not the is it required? Leave it as optional. It's fine for you to leave it as optional, and save it. What we are doing now is that we are creating our columns. You're creating columns inside your database table. So the next column that we'll be creating is probability, column probability. So let's wait for these to finish saving, and we'll create the next column. All right, so it's taking a while to load, but to save rather. So let's just wait for it to save. It's taking so long to save on my end. All right, so I'm just going to refresh this. Let's see if this is the data connection. All right, so we can see prospect column and data. So we have our stage already, but we don't have our contract amount here. So we'll just do that again. Contract amount. Contract amount. And like I said, the data type is currency. Is it a required field? Leave it like that and save it. So hopefully it saves quickly this time around. So the next thing we want to do after this is to save our next column. So let's wait for this to save. Okay, awesome. So we have contract amounts now saved. The next column that we want to create is column probability. All right, so this is actually one way for you to save your, or for you to create your column. So I can just come here and I can come here and create column. So you're still creating column inside your prospect table. All right, so we'll just do new column from here. And what we want to type, we want to type in probability. Yes, so probability, and for our probability, we will, our data type is whole number. So number, select whole number. All right, so we have whole number now, and go ahead and save it. Okay, so you see, still the same thing. So I'm going to select new columns again, and this time, now I want you to follow me, ensure you're following me at this this particular one that we want to create. So we want to create another column, forecasted revenue. Forecasted revenue. The data type for this forecasted revenue is currency. Okay, but the behavior is not simple, it's a calculated field. Okay, so now we want to create calculated field in Dataverse. So forecasted revenue, the data type currency, the behavior is calculated, and we are going, so before you save this, right, this is what I want you to do. Before you save this, let's actually go back and cancel. Okay, so let's actually cancel. Yes. So I want you to go to this, select these three ellipses and go to, where is it? So let's just select settings. Yes. So under settings now, go to privacy, what's that? Cookies and site permission. Yes. So under cookies and site permission, go down and select pop-ups and redirect. So I've done this to mine. So this is what you will see on a normal ground, right? Means that you are blocking your pop-up. So I want you to unselect that and leave. So go back to pop-up. You will see that so it is now unchecked. So if you go back under your pop-up, you are going to see allowed, means that you are allowing pop-ups. All right, so we need it for the calculated field that we are about creating. All right, so let's do that again. New columns. We want to select forecasted revenue. Okay, forecasted revenue, the type is currency, the behavior is calculated, and go ahead and save it. So the magic is going to start when you save it. All right, good. So this is the magic. Now that you've saved, this pop-up that you have allowed is going to pop up on your screen. So it's loading. Once you finish loading, it's going to come out. So we are going to see what we have here. I will be able to define. Basically, this pop-up is just for us to be able to define our calculated field. Okay. Let's wait for it to load. Going to load for a while. Yes, awesome. Now that we have this, so basically what you want to do here, like I said, is you want to set your calculation, right? You said the field is a calculated field. So calculated field means you have to calculate two particular columns. So two columns will be giving you the value of this calculated field. So they have to put in value in one column and put in value in the second column. Then this particular field will calculate the value of the first and second column based on the calculation formula that you put in here, right? And you will have the value for this particular column. What do? We go to action, add action. Now, add action, you're going to see this pop-up. So once you have this pop-up, just type in CR, right? CR, that's all you need to type in. Type in CR and select contract amount, okay? So I'm going to say contract amount times, so shift and 8, that's times. Then I'm now going to put in a bracket. The bracket is basically, so this bracket is not code. What we are writing here is just, we're following the BODMAS principle, right? I want that whatever I put in my bracket would first calculate before it multiplies with contract amount. So we are going to now say CR again, and we'll select probability. Okay, so probability divide by 100. So what am I saying? I'm saying that the value for this forecasted revenue is probability divided by 100 multiplied by contract amount, and select this checkbox, save and close. Awesome. So if you have done this, it means that awesome. So if you have done this, it means that you have created what you've created, a calculated column. So if you're still following me, type in the chat box, yes, I'm following, yes, I'm following, or just unmute your mic. I want to be sure that we are still here. Unmute your mic, say yes, I'm here, yes, I'm here, yes, I'm here, yes, I'm here. Come on, unmute your mic, Dotun, everyone. Let me see that we are still following.
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm here.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm following.
All right. So now that we have done this, I want you to go back to our designer. So just select prospect. Okay. So once you select prospects, you can actually check all the you can check the column that you have created. So we can see contract amount. Hold on. All right, so let's just refresh, because some of the things we've done, we need to, it will not just show automatically. So let's just refresh. So we want to confirm that the tables, the column we have created inside our tables is there before we go on to do the next thing. Okay. All right, so we have so let's check. So we have our stage, we have our contract amounts. Let's just go down and see. You can see the forecasted revenue that we created, even though we didn't create it from here, right? It's still there. So let's just go down you will see this is the probability that we created, right? Because you can create a column from here or go to new under prospect and create your column. Okay, awesome. So we have all of this here, right? And okay, so now that all of this is here, the next thing that we want to do is we want to create a business rule. We want to create a business rule. So under customization, select business rule, okay, and go to new business rule. Okay, so now once you select this is what you're going to see. This is the designer, this is the studio basically for business rule, for you to create business rule. And business rules are so simple to create. So all you just need to do is select this. What did I do? I just tapped on this, right? And this is going to come out. Okay, so tap this and you see this. Then I want you to now go to field. So for the field under source, so this rule is basically what you're going to use to configure this particular condition. So condition, new condition, the condition is that I want to select a source. The source is entity, meaning that, so entity means table, right? So I'm saying that feed from my table. Okay. So actually, let me just explain what you have here. Under properties, you can see display name, new condition. So we are going to still change the name of, so just leave this particular property, new condition, we'll leave it. Then the entity means table. So you have selected it automatically selects the particular table that we want to set this condition for. So the table is what? Prospect. The source, entity. Okay, then the field now is what we will select. Automatically here we have contract amount, so just leave it as it is because it's a contract amount that we want to speak to. So now we would now under operators, we're going to change this from equals, select the drop down, then you select contains data and click on apply. What have you done? You have basically said, okay, oh, my condition. So click on apply. All right. So if you look at the business rule, so it's telling you what you have done. So you have said if contract amount contains data, then what should happen? So go to the tab components and drag in set business required. So you will now see that your business rule will change to if contract amount contains data, set something as maybe not business required or set it as. So now we need to configure our set business required action that we just dragged here. So select it like this. So what we now want to do once we have done that is we are going to, so you can say that it's still feeding from the entity prospect, so the table prospect. So formally, Dataverse tables was referred to as entity. So that's why you can see entity here. So entity, the entity or the table is prospect. So the business required, so under this business required, so remember that the action is business required. So what are you saying? We want to select a particular column. So we want to say that we want to select that column probability. Okay, so what are you doing? We want to set it as business required. Now, apply. Now that you have applied, look at your business rule text view. It's telling you that what you have done here, right, is if contract amount contains data, then set probability as business required. So what you've just done is you have changed the column type, right? Not the type exactly, but the behavior of the column from just say optional to business required, meaning that anytime somebody type in anything, a data inside the field contract amounts, immediately set probability to business required, right? and we'll click on apply. You've clicked on apply. So the next thing we want to do is that we want to name this. Okay, so instead of new business rule, which is the name, we are going to name it let's see. So we are going to name it make probability required. Make probability, because that's what this rule is doing. Make probability required. Okay. Make probability required, and you are going to save. All right. So now that you have saved, to bring you back here, I like validating. So validation is successful and you activate. So activating, so naturally when you create a business rule, it's not activated. All right, that means that it will not start working for this particular table that we are creating it for. But now that we have activated it, what is happening? It's going to now be, so this particular rule will now be functioning. It's going to be working on that table. So you might be asking, so it is a process activate confirmation. Yes, activate. Remember that for you to build a model-driven application, you need to model your data. We've done that. We've created our data. Remember, you need to define the business rules, the business process. That's what we just did. So this particular, what we just did now, this business rule that we just set, we are defining the business process for this particular app that we are creating. Okay, so you might be wondering, why do we need this particular business rule? The reason is we have a calculated field, and we are saying that the calculated field should multiply our contract amount with the probability. The probability is probability divided by 100. All right, now what we are saying basically is for that column to work, we need to enforce that anytime anybody inputs something inside the contract amount field, immediately make probability required, so that they will be able to also say probability is 5. Immediately they do that, our calculated column will be able to work. So that's the logic. That's why we are creating this business rule. And what have we done? We have saved it, we have activated it. So now it would apply to this particular table that we have created. Okay, so you can see now it is deactivate because you have already activated it. Okay, awesome. So now that you are done with all of this, the next thing we want to do is we want to import data into our table. All right. And once we are done with that, we'll just go right and quickly say, you see how simple and how easy it is to actually create a model-driven application. Under 5, 7, 10 minutes, we are done. Okay. So we want to go back. So I'll just come back here. So here, I'm just going to leave this like this. I'll come back here. So you can see it's telling me currently creating a new business rule. I'll click on done. If you refresh, it will not just show automatically. You have to refresh it. So once this is refreshed, you can see that we now have make probability required and the status is on. The scope is table, right? You will see entity there because they've not updated it. So the scope is table, is feeding on this particular table. So let's go back to our prospect table. So this is the prospect table. Now go to import. So if you are using the Microsoft developer account, you will be able to import data. So click on import data from Excel. Import data from Excel. All right. So I'm just going to select upload. So what am I uploading? I'm uploading the prospect. I've dropped it in the chat box. Select prospect and upload. So let me just show you what we have in the prospect table. So in the prospect table, in this prospect CSV file, we have contract amount. So this is the contract amount. We have probability, we have name, and we have stage. So this is just us trying to put in data into the table, that all those columns that we have created. We just want to load data. We don't want to start typing, right? Because we don't have a form yet. Form is what we'll use to receive data inside our tables. We don't have a form yet. We'll just do it ourselves. So now this has uploaded, you will see mapping error exists because you've not mapped it to the data, to the column that you want to map it to. So we'll just come here and map. So contract amounts, we'll map contract amount to contract amount. So for you to be sure, you will see that the way we name this contract amount, there's no space there, right? So you are mapping, this contract amount is from our table contract amount. We are mapping it to the Excel file contract amount. Okay. Then, hold on a sec. Yes. So we'll map this. Then the next thing we will do, currency. We want to map, so we're not mapping anything to currency. We want to look for our column names. So we have contract amount, we have, so we don't have exchange rate, we have forecasted revenue. So we will not map anything to forecasted revenue because forecasted revenue is not coming from, forecasted revenue is a calculated field, right? So we want to map something to probability. So you will see that it's saying unmapped source file columns. So you have not mapped these three. So mapping probability, prospect name, you can see it says required column not set because it is required. You must put data into it. So unmapped source file column, map name to this. Then stage, we need to map stage. All right, so we are done mapping and we will select save stage. So you can see mapping was successful. Mapping was successful. So import. So I'm going to import that data, the data I have in my CSV, my Excel file. I'm going to import it inside my table. So you can see import completed successfully. So I've successfully put in my data. So you need to refresh. You need to refresh. So it's coming on and awesome. So what you can see now is that you can just see, you can see the data that you have put in. You can see the prospect name, you can see the stage, you can see the contract amount. So these are the data from our CSV. So what's the next thing we want to do? We have done our modeling, we have created our tables, we have created the business process, which is the business rules. We have imported data, we have data now. The next thing we want to do is we want to go back and create our model-driven application. All right. We have done this. Just go back to apps or go back to create. Create, select blank app based on Dataverse. Select create. The name, just put in a name. The name for this app will be prospect entry. Prospect entry. Prospect entry and create it. So we are creating prospect entry and would see that a model-driven application will be created for us, right? Then we'll just set it. Setting it, like I said, it won't take us time at all, and we'll soon call it a day. All right. So now that we have done this, you ought to see something like this. Your page has loaded. So start by adding a page to your navigation. So we are going to add a page, and it's going to say choose content for page, Dataverse table, and we're going to select next. So we need to look for that our table. So this is why you need to actually build from. This is why you need to first create your tables, model your data, and all of that, which is what we have done. So you can just search and search for prospects. This is it, prospects add. Awesome. So when you have actually added this is what you're going to see. These are your prospects name, Adatom, Adventure Works, Contours of Flooring, Fabricam. These are the data that you actually imported from your Excel file, all right? You have done this, you have done the prospect name. This is it here. And you can see the navigation prospect here. So we want to save and publish our app. So once this is saved, we are going to publish it. Publish. As you can see, we have not written any line of code. All of this is just logic. We are just putting things together. We are just putting things together. All right, so this has now been published. See, it's loading. Awesome. So we have this. What's the next thing that we want to create? Okay, so inside our app, we are just going to select the data tab. If you select this data tab, this is the data tab I'm talking about, right? So select the data tab and make this in your app bigger. So once you make the in your app bigger, this is your table, all right? Select it. Just go to this and say open. So in your app, select prospect, 3 ellipses, click on open. So once that is open, it will bring you back here because you just opened your table, right? This table that we created, you just opened it. What are we looking for? We are looking for charts because we want to add charts into our model-driven application. So I selected chart and it's telling me we didn't find anything here, anything to show here because you don't have any charts. So we are going to just create charts. Now, the chart we'll be creating is based on our table. So everything we are doing, you need to create your table first. Whatever you'll be doing from that, you are using your You're using your table. So model driven gives you a beautiful avenue for you to actually create amazing charts like this, right? I don't need to know how to do anything Power BI for me to just put some things together. Okay. Now my legend entry, I'm going to select a field, right? So it's asking you which field should I feed from. You will just select stage, right? Now we're going to select the forecasted revenue. So let's look for forecasted revenue. Okay, so we have forecasted revenue, right? Then we need to now select our horizontal category. So which field do you want this to take from? We are going to select stage. So here we'll select stage. This is it here. We have selected stage. So now it's going to load and you see what it looks like. Can you see? So this is what this looks like. And we want to name this, right? So you can see already, it's already saying that forecasted revenue by stage. The reason is to just say, okay, it will pick this legend entry and pick this stage. So that's the name of this chart that you have created, forecasted revenue by stage. So you can always look for it, forecasted revenue by stage. All right. So once you have done this, you just need to save and close. So this is save and close here. So currently creating a new chart, done. So what we now need to do is, you can see forecasted by revenue. So it is now showing here. Okay. So let's go back to app. Let's go back to app. Go back to app. You can see this is my app, prospect entry. It's my app, prospect entry. I can just come here anyways, but I've selected this app. So I'm just going to close this and come here. So this is our prospect entry. And now that we have prospect entry, what we just need to do is we need to select that we want our chart to show. Just select show chart. Currently now, we cannot see any chart because we have not refreshed. Okay, so it took a while and it has popped up. All right, so this is the chart that we just created. Okay, you can choose that immediately you create your chart, you refresh first, or you just come like this. It depends on how fast your internet connection is. Immediately this should. All right, so this is your chart. If you do hide chart, it's no more there. You do show chart, it will be there. But that's because I have created what? I created my chart. So the next thing we need to create, which is the last thing we are actually creating, is it the last? Which is we will create our form. We will create our form. All right. And once we finish creating our form, I'm going to show us some questions. We'll just look at it together, check if we really understand what we've just done. Okay. So we have created chart. We have added our chart here, and we want to create our form. We want to create our form. So how do we then create a form? But before we do this, let us publish. Awesome. So now we're going to go to our table, right? Dataverse table, and we would create our form for our Dataverse table. Okay. So I'll just select tables here, and I can just search for my table. My table is prospects. We're almost done. Follow me. Our table is prospect, select prospects. All right. So we want to create a form for this. So select forms. All right. So we have 3 forms, but the one that we'll be using is our main form. Okay. So just come to these 3 ellipses and select edit. So once you're editing, what you're just basically doing when you're creating a form is that you will see all your columns and you will drag the particular column that you want inside your form. Okay, so I want to select stage. All right, I come down, I look for stage, I drag stage here. You can see stage and you can adjust it. I can bring stage down, I can bring stage up. Okay, what am I doing? I'm creating a form. Stage. The next thing I want to do, I want to bring in contract amount. You need to just go look for contract amount. This is the contract amount we are using, and put it under stage. The next one you're dragging in here is your probability, right? Bring in your probability and drop it here. Okay. The next thing you're doing is revenue, forecasted revenue. So I go select forecasted revenue and I bring it here. All right. But what I want to do, I want to make my forecasted, you can see it's locked. I want to make my forecasted revenue a read-only column because I'm not expecting them to put it. Remember, it's a calculated field. I'm not expecting anybody to put in any value here. What I want them to do is ensure they put in value in contract amount and probability, and it will calculate and it will be inside where? Inside the forecasted revenue. So come to, you can see you've selected your forecasted revenue. That's why you can see this border around it, and select read only, read only. Okay. So once you have done this, we're just going to come here and we'll select save and publish.
Hi, Lola.
Hi.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, when we added the forecasted revenue, it came with a
Yes.
padlock. What does that mean with respect to this read only that we have to select again?
Okay. Basically, right, it means that, oh, sugar. Sorry, one sec. Okay, so it means that the what's it called? The column is locked, right? Because if you look at what we've done so far, our prospect name, our stage, our contract amount, our probability, all of these ones, they are simple fields. But because this one is not a simple field, so it's coming with a lock padlock, right? It means that it is locked. It's locked on. As I drag it on this form, it is locked right here on the form. But read only means that they will not be able to type something inside. So if I do not select read only, it is not they can decide to put something inside. But if I say read only, even though it's locked, they will not be able to put something inside it. Have I been able to answer your question?
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Thank you. So another thing I want to do, this owner, I don't like it on I don't want people to see it. So I just need to hide the label. So once you hide it, okay, this one is still showing. Instead of hide label, let me uncheck hide label, select hide. Awesome, it has gone. So we're going to save and publish again so that when we open, we will not see we are not going to see that there. Okay, so now we have saved and published. We come back to our app and we will just publish and refresh. Okay, publish and refresh. It's still publishing. Then now we can now add data because we now have a form. Form is what will enable your users to submit data. So if you click on new now, what do we see? We see the form that we just created. All right, prospect name. I'm just going to type in .2. Stage, we can see the stages that we've selected, we've done on our table. Lead, opportunity, won, and lost. Let's say is an opportunity, right? Then contract amount, let's type in 34 to be our contract amount. Can you see what happened immediately? As I typed 34, probability became compulsory. Why? Because of the rule that I've set. Now, if I clear this, an opportunity, because I've put in a data before, you can see that it's telling me that Lola put in data. So 60. Let me just put in 60. So probability is compulsory. I just need to put in, say, 6 inside my probability. All right. And my forecasted revenue, oh, sugar. Okay, so my headset is low. 1 sec. Let me just disconnect it. Okay. Now, once you, so we have Dotun as the prospect name, we have stage opportunity, we have contract amount 60, we have probability 60, and our forecasted revenue ought to just calculate like this. Let us see what is happening. So let's see. Let's save this. Okay. Save. Now that we have saved it, right, it has submitted into our Dataverse table. Remember that everything that we've done, it has been done inside our Dataverse table. Sorry, one sec. Okay. Dotun, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi. Okay,
I can hear
awesome.
you.
Yes, so we have Dotun, we have opportunity, we have the contract amount is 60, we have probability 6. So the calculation that we've done is on the Dataverse table. So once I save this, right, and I've connected my form to my Dataverse table. So once I've saved this, the forecasted revenue would calculate. You see, I didn't put anything inside my forecasted revenue and that's calculated. So the probability, the calculation is multiply this. So 6 divided by 100 multiply by contract amount. And that's what we have here. Okay, save and close. Right. If you decide to play your app, so it's loading. So this is it, right? Now I'm playing my app. You can see Adaton, AdventureWorks, Contoso Flooring, Dotun that I just added here. You can show charts, right? So our chart is loading. We can see lead, we can see lost, we can see opportunity one, we can see opportunity, we can see one. So these are basically different stages. You might be wondering what's lead, what's lost, what's opportunity. These are just like stages, right? So the processes of, say, for instance, trying to get a customer into an organization, most times it starts from opportunity. Okay, they see an opportunity, then it's progressing, lead, then this opportunity now has turned to a customer, one, right? Or this particular opportunity, you've lost it, or the person says, I'm not buying again, it is now lost, right? So these are just different stages. So it's categorizing all of this, your forecasted revenue by the stage. So the one that is lost, you can see is 0 because the person did not come and buy, right? Opportunity, see the amount, okay? The one that you won, look at it. The one lead. So this basically, this chart gives you an insight. And you can do this without even being a Power BI expert. You just need to know, okay, I want my customers, or I want my, I want the people I'm building this app for, the users, to quickly be able to see, get an insight into this data, right? And that's what you do here. So last week, I also taught us how to create views. So if I have created view on my Dataverse table, you will see the view here. Instead of me just saying prospect name and created on, the view that I've created is what I can see here. And I can even, like I showed us last week, you can want to go back to that particular recording so you will see it. You can even create a view, a particular view, and have a filter on that view and say, I want to just, I want to filter this. Just show me all the data for opportunity, for a data where the stage is opportunity, right? You have that there. All right, so we did not create view today because we've created it in our last class. And this is everything. We are done. This is your Dataverse. So now, this is your model-driven application. The difference is just for Canvas app is more beautiful because you can customize it however you want to customize it. This one has limited customization, right? This one is more about function. Model-driven is more about functionality than, oh, I want it to be beautiful, I want it to look like this. It's more about functionality. And all of this, right, is because I'm teaching. If I want to do it on my own, under 30 minutes, I'm basically done, or less, depending on how complex the process I'm trying to do is. So now you've seen the difference between model-driven. What have we been able to do in today's class, right? What have we been able to do in today's class? So we have been able to, now we know Microsoft Dataverse. We know how to create business rules, very simple. We know how to import data from Excel into our database, and we know how to create forms, model-driven forms, right? We also know how to create model-driven views that we looked at last week. We also know how to create charts inside our model-driven application. All right, so thank you so much for joining us. And you can reach out to me. Like I said, if you have any questions, reach out to me on Twitter. My name on Twitter is as simple as Omolola Alfred. That's my name. Look for it on Twitter. Omolola Alfred _ Yes, it's on Twitter. LinkedIn, my name. So if you have any question, that's why this is there. Omolola Alfred on Discord, and there as Freddy. On Instagram, Omolola Alfred _ So just look for me on this space, this social media spaces if you have any question, all right, about everything we've done today. So thank you so much. We have come to the end of the class. I'm going to take 1 or 2 questions. Dotun and others, do we have any questions?
Thank you, Amala. For me, I think I'm fine. I'll just go over things again.
Awesome. All right. Do we have any other questions from anybody? Do we have any other question? Okay, so we don't have any other question. Thank you so much for joining us in today's class, and we have come to the end of this particular session. So for next week, we ought to actually move into another, we ought to basically learn another thing next week, but next week class will not be holding, all right? So let's take a break. Let's go over and look at our first class, Introduction to Power Apps. Let's go over and look at how to build Canvas application, which was our second class. Third class, let's look at how to create Dataverse tables. Fourth class, which is what we are doing right now, let us know how to create model-driven applications. Then you'll be set to, because from the following class, we'll start looking at Power Automate and all of that, all right? So all of this we've done. You can imagine if we now add Power Automate to it. So say when you submit a data, it will just inform somebody, it will send a message to somebody. It's going to get very interesting, but you have to first go back and look at all these things and ensure that you are following us. All right. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you upper week. Okay. So it's bye from every one of us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you. Bye.